Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Monday, September 25th, 2023. The fire potential impacts for the next few days are shown here. Really the only significant impact we have are some winds today in western and northwest Nevada and up into far southwest Idaho today, ahead of a little cold front moving through on Tuesday. And then we have some more significant wetter impacts coming in the second half of the work week. Past 24 hours were pretty quiet, with really no precip or lightning activity in the basin. New initial attack activity was also pretty light with 2 fires for 0.2 acres. Precip for the past 7 days is shown here. We had that system move through towards the end of last work week that brought some precip to eastern Idaho, western Wyoming, and northern Utah, with some other drier areas out there, especially western Idaho and southern southeast Utah. Those are kind of our dry pockets out there right now. Overall fire danger conditions are pretty low, with most of all of our stations below the 50th percentile for ERCs. Some of those areas are on an upward trend with the warm, dry conditions we had this weekend, but with that cold front coming in across the north, we should see those values decreasing there, but remaining elevated over Utah and Nevada for another couple of days. This morning's satellite imagery shows a pretty good low pressure system off the Canadian coast here, already bringing some precipitation into the Pacific Northwest. It's this low that's bringing those gusty winds into western Nevada and far western Idaho today. Otherwise, high pressure dominating the Great Basin for warm and dry conditions. So for today, dry conditions for most of the basin and gusty winds over far northwest Nevada and southwest Idaho. A closer look at those afternoon wind gusts for today. Here we can see gusts 30 to 40 miles an hour possible over far western northwest Nevada and up into southwest Idaho. Minimum relative humidities are also fairly low, especially in western Nevada, below 10% there, and also low in southwest Idaho and portions of eastern Utah. On Tuesday, we'll see a dry cold front swing through Idaho, which will drop temperatures a little bit there, maybe far northern Nevada, but conditions will remain generally warm and dry across Utah and Nevada. We will still see some wind gusts with that low, but mainly over the higher elevations of central Idaho, so not a great concern for fire danger or fire potential. Minimum relative humidities are still pretty low over Nevada and Utah, but coming up a bit closer to where that little dry cold front will be coming through. And then that low really kind of dissipates to the north and east, and we'll see generally dry conditions for mainly Utah and Nevada on Wednesday. As that low moves across the Pacific Northwest and Northern Rockies, we will see some precipitation to the central Idaho mountains here. If we look first at temperatures, by Wednesday, temperatures will drop quite a bit between Tuesday and Wednesday, with highs near 70 in Boise. Today's highs are going to be in the mid 80s at least in Boise, so that's a pretty good drop, over 10 to 15 degrees between now and Wednesday. Still staying fairly warm in Utah and central and southern Nevada. And then again, that probability of precipitation over the central Idaho mountains as that low moves across the northern Rockies, but dry elsewhere. The 3-day precip totals showing a pretty big goose egg for most of the Great Basin, but just a little bit of precip right in those on the Payette and the far northern boundary of the Great Basin. As we head into the second half of the work week, another low pressure system begins to develop over the Pacific Northwest. For Thursday, we'll still be kind of dry and mild temperatures across much of the area. But on Friday, that low really dives south into the Pacific Northwest and the kind of Northern California area. We will start to see some precipitation beginning to move into the Great Basin with this guy, and cooler temperatures beginning on Friday. That low drops even further south on Saturday into Nevada, bringing pretty widespread precipitation and cooler temperatures to much of the Great Basin by Saturday. Eastern Utah and the far southern fringes of the area will stay on the drier side. Then that low hangs around on October 1st, Sunday, keeping things cool and wet across mainly the northern 2/3 of the Great Basin, again with some dryness over our far eastern Utah. Overall, significant fire potential drops pretty significantly as we head into next weekend. The 7-day precip totals show a pretty good chance of precip for much of the geographic area. Again, this is mostly going to be beginning Friday, but more on Saturday and into Sunday. Some drier areas still out there over far eastern Utah and southern Nevada. But everywhere else should see a good chance of some precip and definitely a drop in temperatures. The extended forecast for October 2nd through the 8th is calling for below normal temperatures across the Great Basin and above normal chances for precip for much of Utah, eastern Idaho, and still staying dry, possibly over western Nevada. And that concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.